Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing some intricate 3D flower nail art, so definitely continue watching if you're interested in this kind of video. And with that being said, let's get right into it. I had already applied my base coat off camera, so now I'm going to start by applying my base color. I'm using Not That Innocent by Nails by Dev as my base color. I've always done the basic 3D flowers. If you've watched me previously, then you know what I'm talking about, but I wanted to make my flowers look more realistic, so I was super determined to give it a shot today. But let's get into these full cover nail tips really quick. So these are from Amazon. These are Una Gela false nails in the shape stiletto. I would consider these long or medium length, but these work out super well for me. I've been using them for maybe a few weeks now and they are perfect. I absolutely love them. I've also purchased other nail tips from Amazon in the past. I've been able to find square nail tips. I've been able to find almond. So yeah, I would definitely recommend going through Amazon if you're looking for something a little more affordable. This is honestly one of my favorite base colors to use when I'm doing a French tip. I just feel like it looks so good, but I am interested in exploring other base colors or like nude colors to do my French tip because I feel like I do this one pretty often. So I do want to switch it up. So if you guys have any recommendations on base colors to use that are gel polish, let me know. I've also heard a lot about D&D and I know that they use that at like nail salons, so I may look into getting some from there as well. But yeah, like I said, if you have any recommendations, let me know. I'd be happy to hear them. I'm going to be using Model 1's black gel polish to paint on my French tip. This is a really good black gel polish. If you're looking for one, you can get it on Amazon as well. But I'm going to put some down on my nail palette. And I do want to go ahead and say that my French tips in this nail design came out A1. They came out so good. And I can't say I've ever had them come out as good as they did this time. So I was super happy about that. I ran into an unpleasant surprise. As you can see, my nail brush is all bent up, and this is my favorite nail brush that I use. So I was so disappointed to see that it was bent up like that. But luckily, I was able to kind of get it back in shape. It's not as straight, but I honestly think that with it bent up like this, it actually helped me more with my French tip when I'm going from like the sides down to the smile line. I feel like it helped a lot. So I guess it was a blessing in disguise, but I was still disappointed. When I do my French tips, I usually try to fill it in using the same nail art brush, but this time, just to make the time go by faster, I did just go ahead and fill in that empty space with the brush from the bottle, so that definitely helped it go by way faster. I feel like with this gel polish, you don't necessarily need two coats. However, in some cases, I would apply two coats. I think it just really depends on how you think your coverage looks. For the design, I decided I want to go with a little bit of zebra print. So I'm taking this orange and I'm putting some down on my nail palette. I decided that I was only going to do half of the nail in zebra print and then leave the other half just black. So I'm making sure that I cover the black part that I painted on, and then I'm going to cure it under my lamp for 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to go over this nail with some 3D nail art, but I do want my background to look a little cute. So, yeah, I feel like as long as you got a little bit on there, you're good. For my 3D flower, I'm gonna be using Born Pretty's Extension Nail Gel, and honestly, I love this one. I didn't really have any influence on the color that I chose. I really just went with whichever one was closest, just because I do plan to paint over this, so it doesn't necessarily matter which color you go with for this. I do plan to invest in some colored sculpting gel or extension gel in the future. I know that they have various colors like green, red, blue, things like that. And I feel like it would just help take away that extra step of having to paint it. But all good there. So right now I'm just trying to flatten out a piece of this gel. I did try to flatten it onto this plastic, which kind of worked, but not really, because as you can see, it was sticking to my nail or my glove really bad. So I ended up having to find another way of doing it. So I just took the lid from the gel and I just smashed it together, and I'm so happy because it stuck to the lid. And so this just made it easy for me to just scrape it off and kind of get that real petal look. Once I was able to get it off of the lid, I did place it onto the nail where I wanted it to go. I feel like I wanted to do it a little bit on the French tip, but not so much, the center of the nail. So I just placed it pretty strategically. And I have my silicone tool to help mold the nail. So this is pointed, which makes it really easy for me to maneuver my gel exactly how I need to. So this process is way different than I used to do my 3D flowers. I usually would do a basic flower, which is just basically you have your ball of gel and you just press it, but it still leaves the flower looking bulky. And so I feel like this process really, really helps because it gives the flower more life, makes it look more real, and I just love in the end how this came out. But I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm going to be placing the petals pretty close together, making sure that I press in the center of the flower just so that it all flows well. I'm gonna be making these flowers red, so I'm taking this red from Beetles and I'm just putting some of that down on my palette. At first, I was using my nail liner brush to fill the flower in, but I couldn't get into the crevices how I needed to, and it honestly was just taking way longer than I wanted, so I just went in with the brush from the bottle and did it. but I was being very careful with not overcrowding my brush with too much polish, because if there's too much polish, then it's going to clump up and you're not going to be able to see the details of the flower. I did end up doing 2 layers of that, but next I'm gonna go ahead and add this darker red around the perimeter of the flower just to give it more depth. I feel like that really helps bring it more to life. So again, I'm putting some down on my nail palette, and then I'm gonna take a different brush and just gently brush around the edges of the flower. In the center of the flower, I'm going to be using this yellow. So again, I'm just putting some down on my nail palette, and I'm going to use that same brush that I was just using after I cleaned it off to go ahead and put some right in the center of the flower. Next, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the anatomy of a flower. I know a little bit only because I took a flower design class back in high school, but I wanted to add the filament to the flower, which is the centerpiece that kind of sticks up in a flower. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen like lilies, but those have like the little filaments, or like, the little stems that are coming out from the center. So I want to put one of those on here. I was going to add quite a few, but I think I actually ended up just doing 1 for this nail and 2 for the other one, or maybe it was 2 for this one and 1 on the other flower that I end up doing, but yeah, either way, that's what I'm doing right now. Now I'm just painting that orange because I really wanted to bring out the orange from the zebra print. Once I'm done with that nail, I did decide to go ahead and top coat so that you can see exactly what it looks like once it's top coated and everything, and then I'm gonna move on to the next nail. So for this one, I'm gonna be doing another French tip. So I am speeding past this a little bit just because you've already seen that process. And then I'll slow it back down because this one is going to be a stem nail. So it's gonna have a stem on it. And I'm gonna be doing some 3D art with that as well. So yeah, I'll slow it down when we get to that part. So now for the stem, this part is pretty easy. I'm just taking out a good amount of gel so that I can get it rolled out and to a pretty thin piece of gel basically. I do want it thin enough to where I can drape it over the nail so that we can have a cute little stem. I wouldn't say there's any fancy or special way that you have to drape it over necessarily. I think you should just go with whatever you feel. So that's all that I'm doing here, honestly. And any excess gel that is on there, I do just end up trimming it off with my cuticle pusher. I'm using this royal green to paint over the stem. I feel like this is the perfect green to use. And y'all know me, I don't love to mix colors, but I will if I don't have a color. But I feel like this was perfect, so I didn't have to worry about mixing anything. At this point, I did stop recording because it was going to take me all day to fill it in. So I did do the rest off camera and just filled in the empty spaces. But that is pretty much it for those two nails. I do plan to do these two designs on the other three nails. So again, I'm just speeding through this part and then I'll show you the finished look here at the end. I totally forgot that for this nail, I did something different. I actually ended up just adding a couple of pearls on this. So right now I'm just putting on my top coat. I use that as an adhesive and I'm just putting on my pearls wherever I want to. Last step, I wanted to quickly file these because the nails did lose their shape a little bit. And honestly, there was a few little tabs before I even started. So I'm just cleaning those up really quick. This is the finished design. I really love how these flowers came out. I love that they're so intricate and detailed, and I just really took my time on these. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.